Hello everyone. In this topic today, we're going to be going through the topic of dollar value LIFO mechanics and advanced topics. So basically, we're just going to walk through, there was an introduction video to dollar value LIFO. This is sort of the follow-up video. So basically, first is how to solve dollar value LIFO problems, and then we're going to talk about something called the double extension method. Okay, so we have these couple of steps we walk through. The first one is determine the ending inventory end of year prices. This is usually just given information. So we basically have to determine what the ending inventory, what its value is at the end of the year prices. Okay, and again, that's usually given. Second, we'll take the ending inventory end of year prices and divide it by the price index, which again is usually given, to arrive at the ending inventory at base year prices. There's a lot of terminology being thrown around here, but it's all going to make sense once we go through the problems. I'm just trying to get you guys used to it for now. Third, compare the ending inventory at base year prices for the current year, and you compare that to the ending inventory at base year prices for the previous year. If the ending inventory at base year prices for the current year is greater than the ending inventory at base year prices for the previous year, the company builds up a layer of inventory. We kind of talked about in the last video, LIFO layers, so I would recommend watching that video before you've seen this video, okay, the video on dollar value LIFO basics. And if the ending inventory at base year prices for the current year is less than the ending inventory at base year prices for the previous year, the company eats away a layer of inventory built up in the past. And we will see an example of this, and it will make a lot more sense in this word salad. Okay. Then we have the double extension method, but that's basically the steps we go through. Okay. And then we have the double extension method, which is when a company calculates its own price index for purposes of dollar value LIFO because a suitable index does not exist for the company's specific purpose. So basically, the price index shows how much the price of goods has changed between the current year and the base year. And then the formula for calculating a price index when using the double extension method is as follows. The price index for the current year is equal to ending inventory for the period at current cost, and then ending inventory for the period at base year cost. And we will see how to apply that in a problem. I think it's just best to go ahead and do the problems in this situation because the words themselves don't make a ton of sense, and it just makes a lot more sense to just see in a problem. Okay, so let's try to see if we can get these papers both showing as best we can. Might have to overlap them a little bit. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so basically now we're going to go through a comprehensive dollar value LIFO practice problem. The reason I say it's comprehensive is because basically this practice problem includes pretty much most of what you would need to know. Okay. The following data are available for Doherty Corp concerning its ending inventory. Inventory is valued on December 31 of each year provided, which is Doherty Corp's year end. Then we have the years, we have the price indices, and then we have the year ending inventory at end of year prices. Then it says required using dollar value LIFO method. What is the value of Doherty Corp's inventory for 2015, 2016, 2017 at the end of the year? Okay. So now we need to take our steps. Okay, so first step, we need to determine what the ending inventory at end of year prices is. Again, that's given. It's right here at the last part of the chart. Okay, so we've already done that for all of our years. It's very straightforward. Okay, then the second step, okay, let's just start working through 2015. We'll talk through it. Okay, so we start right here, ending inventory at end of year prices. Okay, then we divide by the price index. Okay, so it says that step 2, you take the price index, you turn it into a decimal. So in this case, it's 100. So it's 1.00. Okay, so it'd just be 100 divided by 100 is 1.00. That equals 200,000. This is called the ending inventory at base year prices. Okay, what this ending inventory at base year prices basically means on a conceptual level is that if, taking out all the effects of price increases, this is the actual value of the inventory, valued as of 2015, the base year. Okay, so what we want to do with dollar value LIFO is that we want to measure real increases in inventory, right? But the issue is that we have these price indexes because over time, things just go up in cost, right? They just cost more, but that's not like an actual increase in the quantity of goods, right? Like if I have a piece of inventory sitting on the books at $100, and then the next year, that same piece of inventory is sitting on the books at 150 just because it cost me more to buy. Like I had one unit and I sell that unit, and then I buy one unit at 150, right? I still have one unit at the end of the year, but The only difference is that the price has gone up, right? And so what we do is we want to take out these price increase effects. And the way that we do that is we divide by the price index itself, okay? And when we do that, we're taking out any factors that could be related to just straight up increases in price of these goods. And that way we can just measure apples to apples on a base year level. Is there actually a quantity increase in our inventory? Okay, and so that's why we're doing that. Okay, so then we make our layers. Our 2015 layer is just 200,000. And then once you've done this, okay, the first year is the easiest because then you just always take this number and you multiply by the price index, and then that's your ending inventory. Okay, we'll see it a little bit more complicated once we get to 2016. Okay, so 2016, again, we take this ending inventory at end of year prices, we divide by our price index, that gives us $280,000. That's our ending inventory at base year prices, okay? So this 280 is valued on the same basis as this 200,000. That's the whole point of dividing by this 1.25, because then that's putting it on an equivalent basis as the 200,000, and then we can make a comparison. That's step 3, okay? Step 3 is compare the 280 to the prior year's ending inventory of 200,000, okay? And we can see that it increases by 80, right? Because it goes from 200 to 280. So that means that we build up an additional layer. Okay, so what we do is we take our first layer, we just do 200,000 times $1, or not $1, but 1.00. That gives us $200,000. Okay, that's what we always do. We always take our first layer, and then if there's anything remaining, which in this case there is, we build up a second layer, and it's 80,000 times the price index when the layer was built up. The layer was built up in 2016, so that means it'll be 1.25, gets us to 100,000. We add it up, it's $300,000. Okay. Now, our very last year, this is where we end up in a situation where we have 405, we divide it by 1.5, that gives us 270, okay? I'm going to go through this year a little bit faster just because we've taken a lot of time to go through the other years. Then what we want to do is that we want to go ahead and compare the prior year to the current year, okay? And so basically what we're going to see is that in this problem, let's see, so we have 270,000 and we had 200, so what we need to do is that we need to always compare the ending inventory. Sorry, I got caught up there for 1 second, but what you need to do is that you need to compare the ending inventory at base year prices to the previous ending inventory at base year prices, okay? So in this case, we would compare 280 to 270, and we'll see that ending inventory is actually $10,000 less, right? It went down by 10,000, which means that what's going to happen is, we'll see in just a second, but it's going to be called eating into the layer that we built up in 2016. Okay, so again, we had 270,000. We take away 200,000, that's our base year. Okay, we have plenty enough to meet our base year. Then 2016, well, we only have 70,000 left, but we actually had 80,000 before. So we're going to eat into 10,000 of the layer that we built up during 2016. Okay, we multiply that by the price index when it was built up, which is 1.25, gives us 87.5. Then once we get down to 2017, there's nothing left, right? There's no more layer to build up. We actually didn't build up a layer in 2017. We actually ate away a layer, okay, which gives us an ending inventory of 287.5. Now, some people ask, why do we use like the 1.25 still, even though we're in 2017 for this eating away of the layer? We're using that because we always, whenever we build up a layer, from then on out, we always use that same price index from when the layer was built up. So whatever happens with this layer, it can't go above 80, but it can go below 80. So if it stays at 80, we use 1.25. If it goes below 80, we also use 1.25. Okay, so that's basically dollar value LIFO. And we had an example here where we built up a layer here and then we ate away a layer here. So that's kind of like most of the different variants you would see. Okay. Now let's flip over and do a quick problem on the double extension method. Okay, so here we have XYZ company that sells accounting merchandise. The company has the following information available related to its inventory at base year, which is January 1 of 2017. So we have these calculators and It's a Cruel World stickers, and we have quantities and we have costs of those, okay? And then additionally, XYZ has the following information related to its most recent inventory purchases. This amount equals the December 31 inventory. So that's basically telling us this is their ending inventory, okay? Which is important for this question, okay? Then again, it gives us all this information about cost per unit, quantity, total cost, everything like that. Okay. So now it wants us to calculate the price index for XYZ for the year ended December 31, 2017 using the double extension method. Okay. So what we need to do here is that we need to use this formula here, okay, which says the price index for the current year is the ending inventory for the period at the current cost divided by the ending inventory for the period at base year cost. Okay, and so we have to solve for both of those numbers. So the way that we do that is that we want to go ahead and we want to take whatever our ending inventory quantities are. Okay, we always want to start with our ending inventory quantities. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to price those at base year costs. Okay, what is base year cost? It's this right here, right? Because it tells us this is base year. So we want to take these quantities right here, 1,800 for these different items, calculators and stickers, and then we want to price them as if they're at the base year costs, okay, which is $20 a unit and $4 a unit. If we do the math, we'll end up with $23,200, okay? Then the December 31 inventory priced at current year costs for the numerator, this is for the denominator, right? And this is for the numerator, okay? So then what we do for the numerator is that we take those same quantities and then we multiply by the most recent prices that we've paid. Okay, in this case, it happens to be the 22 and the 5 because it tells us these are our most recent inventory purchases. Okay, so that's how we're going to determine the ending inventory for the period at current year costs versus the ending inventory at base year costs. So then you have 26,000 for the current year cost, you have 23,200 for the base year cost, which gives you a price index of 1.12. Okay, so that's basically how that works. Just to recap really quickly, the steps that we did. Okay, we obviously read the problem first, right? And then the first step we want to do is that we want to take these, we always want to use these inventories of basically what is our most recent inventory purchases, or essentially what is on hand as of December 31 of the current year, like what is currently on hand is essentially what we want to use. Okay, in that case, it's 1,800. And then the step after that is to multiply these numbers by the actual cost at the base year, because that's basically saying if we had 1,000 of calculators on hand at base year, then it would have cost us 20,000. If we had 800 stickers, it would cost us 3,200, right? So we're kind of just comparing them on trying to get an apples to apples comparison, right? Because then we use the same quantities here. The only thing we change is the dollar amounts. So that way, what we're actually basically computing and actually trying to determine is what is the change in price, right? The change in price after adjusting for the differences in quantities is 1.12, right? We can't just use 500 and 1,000 here or any other number. We have to use the same quantity level, or else we're going to end up getting skewed results, okay? And so basically that's the end of this topic, and I hope that was helpful.